what I want to do now is go to our guest presentation. So Freya is going to be on the line, hopefully, if we can bring her up. Oh, hello, how are you?
Yeah, hi, okay.
Yeah, really good. So thank you so much for coming on, Freya. And you're going to give us a presentation to go through in detail about how people can use Spareroom to find great tenants to their property. So I really appreciate your time and sharing this with us. So I'll let you take it away.
Okay, so I'm Freya, I'm from Spareroom and I'm our product researcher and test analyst. So all of the feedback that comes through to ourselves, I then funnel into the product team and tech team. When it comes out the other side, I then test it from a user perspective, but I also work for quite a long time on our customer services department. So I'm familiar with my way around the website and also common things that people want to know about how to use Spareroom and so on. So I'll give you a quick overview of the history of Spareroom, and then I'll dive into the basics of getting started, advertising a property, and then some other features and tools that might be useful to you. And that's whether you're brand new to the site and not seen it before, or if you're fairly experienced, there might be some things in there for you that you've not seen before or used that much. So if I give you a quick history, we started in '99 and it was London only as a site called Into London. And then it was founded by Rupert Hunt, who built it, and he still owns that today. There was clearly a demand, and so we decided to go national in 2004. And we had one customer service person who's now our ops director, and we had a site moderator. And we've grown and evolved with our users. Our HQ is in Manchester, so we've always kept that in the northwest where it was founded. Started in a shed with a couple of people, and now we have about 100 worldwide. So we have about 13 million registered users and rising. We also have about 11 million unique visitors a month to our UK site. We're also in the US with 2 million plus and heading towards 3 million. And we're also across Europe and South America because we've got some sister sites there. So customer service, products and moderation, we've had all three of those going right from the get-go. So I'll crack on with how to get started and get going. So the first thing you'd always need to do with Spareroom is register. That's free. You need to just sign up with a working email and password of your choice. It operates on a freemium model, so it's free to use, and we've got some paid upgrades. Your free accounts will allow you to have one free advert. Your upgraded ones, and I will cover all of this, provide you some extra ad promotion, and you've got access to get to more features and more tools. Terms you might come across perhaps when you're in contact with us or looking around the site are room offered ads. So that's by yourselves, landlords, current flatmates looking for another housemate, or agents. And then there's another side called the room wanted side, and that's actually people who post ads about themselves. There's a whole database there on the other side of room seekers, and they are optional, but they are there, and you can go and have a look at those yourself. So it works both ways on Spareroom. So posting an ad, once you've got yourself registered, you'd go to post ad in the main blue menu bar, and then you get some categories to choose from. Rooms to rent is always if you've got a room in your property, whether that's one room or you've got a few rooms in the same property. If you'd like to let something as a whole, and that might be to one individual or a group of people, you would choose the whole property to let. And then just beneath that, you can see that room wanted option there, and that's for the people who are looking to post about themselves. So post ads, your first port of call, and then it's whether it's rooms or you'd like to do a whole property. From there, you get some options, and you can have a free ad or bold ad. So your free ads are just as they sound. You can have one on a free account. So some of you might have encountered that already. The contact to the free ads is reserved for our upgrading or paying seekers for the first 7 days. That's the early bird phase. So these are terms you might have seen or you might notice. And then after that, everybody can contact your ad for free. Your bold ads are the paid ads, and they come with extra highlighting in the search results. That helps them stand out. And they can be contacted instantly by anyone, so there's no early bird phase for those. You also get more ad promotion, more features and tools with that. And it works the other way around. As a paid member with an upgraded account, you can actually go ahead and contact as many room wanted ads as you like instantly as well. So you'll get that choice. You can actually go for a free ad if you want, first of all. Get into posting your ad. You'll then get the forms to fill in to put all of your information in. You can upgrade at any point afterwards. So if you just want to set your ad up to start with, but if you are intending to upgrade, I would probably choose to do that at the beginning, and you'll get to the upgrade options at the end. It just means that as soon as your advert goes live, it will just pass through moderation first of all. If it's okay, it'll probably be live within about 15 minutes. If something's just got picked up with security, it might just take a little bit longer, but we've got a very vast moderation department. So that's usually within sort of 30 minutes. But I'd get going with your upgrade straight away. But new users, if you just want to just get something on the site first of all, then you're welcome to do it free of charge first of all. So that's what they look like in your search results. So your bold ad will come with the highlighting. It's got the badge on there, so that lets everybody know who's looking for rooms straight away. Great, that's a free to contact advert for me. The grey ones appear further down. They've got the little early bird note on there. And so that just tells the seeker that they would need to be an upgraded member at that stage before they'd be able to contact it. So your ad still goes live. It's still in the search results with all the others. There's just difference in how it's going to be presented to our users and whether it's going to be free or not at that point. So what should I include in my ad now you've clicked to get going? Really important things, and I've actually studied and tested this out a few years ago, as well as sort of tried and tested things with landlords that I've spoken to as well in the past. Sell the room or property first. You're welcome to put things in there that are important things. So some licenses require that it's single occupancy only, so they can't always take couples. You can put that first if you want, but the very next things or the very first thing you want to get in there is sell the room or property first. That's what you're offering to somebody. Include any storage. Does the room come with a wardrobe, chest of drawers? Is the room for a desk? Obviously, if people are working from home, they might want to ask that if they don't see anything in the photos, so you might want to mention that. Describe the shared areas. It's giving people a real sense of what's in the property. So living room, kitchen, bathroom or bathrooms, and any outdoor space if there is any. If not, but perhaps you have a park a couple of minutes walk away, it might be nice to include that as well, but do include all of those things. Transport and how to get around. Some people are hybrid working, some people are office full time, or they might be in jobs where they can't work from home. They want to know how to get around. So is there a train station nearby? How long does it take to get there? Can they walk in a few minutes? Bus stop? Or is it somewhere that you'd need a car? If so, do they require a permit or anything like that? So anything useful about the transport and getting around. And then who it would ideally suit. So you can also signpost who you might think would ideally fit into the property as well with other housemates. It gets them to things that it comes with, and then they can sort of start to imagine themselves there. Any other info, so anything that's important, current housemates, if there are any, is always a plus, so they can see, and it doesn't need to go in detail. It can just be as broad as there's 3 others who are professionals working a 9-to-5 day, or there's 2 creatives in the house, 1 who works in engineering. It can be very broad strokes of that, but it just gives them a sense. Try and avoid any demand type statements. I've noticed that anybody who usually puts an I want or we want type statement, or anything that sort of almost saying what you're looking for, it can put them off a little bit. Signpost it through your ad, like I say, who would it ideally suit? Talk about the current household and how they sort of interact with each other. It sort of signposts to the user who's going to fit in there. And also try and avoid any sort of intricacies of house rules or discussion about contracts and things like that at this stage. As I said at the start, if you wanted to mention the licensing with the single occupancy only, that's fine because it forms part of the offer. But house rules and the ins and outs, what you want to do is get your inquiries first and then actually get into the intricacies of that with perhaps people you're going to take to viewing stages or final stages. You get 9 photo slots. So the example on the right-hand side there, we say try and use all 9, at least 5, but try and fill them up. Include at least a couple of the room, if it's just one you have available, or the rooms that are on offer, and any of those shared spaces. So you're mirroring what you've got in your description. Your description mirrors what's there in the photos, and keep it in that order. You can also add a video. You can either just do that silent, you don't need to have a commentary, but sometimes it's nice to have a little commentary, even if it's just to chat about the storage and things as you sort of move around the room, highlight things like natural lighting. And as Simon was mentioning, make sure the room's dressed. Try and use natural light where possible as well, rather than curtains drawn and nighttime shots. And just highlight any benefits and pluses as well that it comes with. It might be a ground floor one that was in that first photo as well. If it opens out onto a patio area or a back garden, any little pluses like that, and show them. Your video will come up as a thumbnail, and that would actually go first, but we can always swap in one of your images. Customer services team can do that if you prefer one of the room shots as your lead image there, because YouTube can have a tendency to sort of choose its own frames. It's no problem for us to change that, but we would need to do it manually for you here. Just quickly looking at that example on the right, you can see there's clear spacing there. Give your ad breathing space between all those key points. It makes it scannable, it's easy to digest, and then just keep it sort of, as light as possible. Get the important information in there. What you want to do is just get that sort of selling across to start with. Title, that's just used as a sort of snappy one-liner. So again, try not to fill it with lots of information. Use your description there. Perhaps if, like I say, you've got a great natural light room, just sell it as that. Fantastic double natural with natural light. It just needs to be a hook to get them interested, and they can see a little snippet of the ad in the search results there. And then it makes it nice and easy for them to actually scan through. So your account management, these are some important things of how to get around. So once you've posted your ad, you'll want to know, how do I actually manage it? How do I get to my adverts, and how do I amend them if I've perhaps wanted to update the rent, or perhaps I've made a mistake on something and need to correct it or add something in. Account is your first port of call, and that's the same on any of our platforms. That's where you'll always find the options to manage your ad. So think of account is a little bit like home, and then you'll find all of your options within there to either manage your ads, account details, and anything else related to your account, whether it's your personal details, any ads that you've saved from seekers that you might have contacted, options to get through to your messages. There's another contact type there called who's interested, but my ads is probably going to be one of the key ones there. And you'll also always see your account status at the top. So this one here is a free one. If you upgraded, it will have an upgraded panel there to tell you that. And it will also show you what your advert allocation is, so how many ads you've got available to use, the spaces, and when the finish date of that will be as well. So account is like going home, and that's how you get to all your things. So my ads there, which I've mentioned, just highlighted it there. Account, my ads on that panel there, but you'll also notice that it's just directly underneath that account in the blue toolbar. And I do highlight this because I've noticed that some users aren't always sure where to go to when they come to Spareroom to get at this stuff. Email alerts I've just underlined there as well. Those are all of your notifications. So when you're getting new messages through, or perhaps interest through, which I will cover, you can go in there and control those. If you want to turn everything but just new messages off, you can do that. So anything you want to keep those switched on. You can control volume and frequency of those. Anything that you feel like you don't want for the time being, or if you have them switched on, but perhaps you've suddenly got a lot of contacts and you want to keep things a bit more manageable, you can go in there and turn those off. The apps have push notes as well, so push notes can be used as an alternative if you're not a fan of email. But we do kind of recommend the messages one. If you're not going to use push notes, try and keep that active, because users can sometimes forget, and then they get lots of contacts in their inbox, but they've forgotten to go in and sort of check on that. So my ads is there as one of your key points to go to, and your email alerts for your notifications. So my ads, what can you do once you get there? This is where you're going to control everything to do with your ad. So every one of your adverts, whether it's one or you've got 2 or 3 live at the time being, it will be shown as a little ad card, and it's the same ad card that actually gets displayed in the results as well. So you can view your ad there, you can see its status. So there we've got a green tick saying it's live, or whether it's pending. You might have just created one or reactivated one, and that's just going through the approval process. Or if it's deactivated and it's just sitting there ready for you to use again in the future. You've got a 28 days left there. That's the days left to run before it would automatically drop off the website if anyone forgot about their ad. So it keeps the listings fresh if you don't renew it. And then the renew tool on the right hand side there, that actually resets it again, but it also has a benefit of moving it up the search results. So that's a handy little tool that upgraded members can use. So it resets the ad to being 1 day old again, and it moves it up the results. If you come in and it says 26 days to go, hit that renew, you'll see that actually reflected there, and it'll say 28 days left again, because that's the days to go before it would automatically come off if you did forget about it. Edit is a big one that you're going to want to know how to use or be familiar with where it is. So I've just highlighted that there. So any text fields of your advert, whether that's things like deposit fields, rent amounts, title and description, or any other things you want to amend on there. Perhaps you've got another room that's going to become available or suddenly become available, and it's in the same property. You go in and add that room in. Just make sure you do save your changes. And you've got photos and video there that you can add in alongside your advert, which obviously we've just covered. And then stats, that allows you to see how many views your ad has had, and then how many of each contact type you've had as well. And then to take your ad away from the live listings, once you've got your rooms let, just click on deactivate, and that starts that process straight away. So that'll start pulling that off the live listings. When you come back to the My Ads page, if you need to run this advert again, that will actually just say activate there for you. So that's like your on and off button for your advert. Deactivate doesn't delete it or anything like that. It's just taking it off the live listings and saving it for future use for you. If you do come back to activate an ad that you've had on before, we always recommend you just go into edit first. You can actually save and make live from that as well, but it just ensures, perhaps you've maybe had a rent increase, or there's a room on there that's no longer available. Perhaps if you had a couple and you just want to take that one away, just check over all your information is correct and as you'd like it. Because once you do hit live, that's the information that's going to be submitted. So if you were to just go activate, that old version is the one that's going to go live first, because we don't know at that point that you've got changes that you want to make. So edit first. If you want to edit and save for later again and just keep it safe, you can do that, or just edit, save and make live. And then away it goes into the moderation system, and then it goes live for you. So your contact types and your messaging. So you saw messaging as one of those panels on the account page, and there was another one called Who's Interested as well, which I'll cover. So when they look at your ad, they're going to have an option to message. Messages on every single advert. Call if you decide to have a phone number. That's optional, and we usually recommend, if you're a newer user or sort of getting to grips with things, perhaps leave that one off for now, unless you're quite an experienced landlord and you're quite happy to take calls. It can be overwhelming to start with. The way the market is at the moment, there's not as much supply as demand, as I'm sure you'll be aware of. So it's great, anybody who's new coming in, it's helping out with that supply. But people can often find themselves a bit overwhelmed and trying to manage different kind of contact options, especially calls, because they're pretty instant. So message there, call if you want it. When they send you a message, they'll click on that, type you a message, that'll go to your Spareroom inbox, and then you'll get a notification if you've got those switched on by email or push note if you prefer to use the app. And you may receive a call or a text message. The seekers are usually quite good, and they'll say that they've seen your room on Spareroom. Show interest is like a free link that we allow users to use. So anybody with a live ad, they have to have a room wanted ad for this. They can send you a copy of that free of charge. So sometimes they just click on it if they're busy on a lunch break perhaps, or quickly browsing before work starts. It's a way of shortlisting and at least getting a form of contact over. Sometimes users might do it if they're not upgraded, and if your ad was a free one in that early bird phase, they might do it to send a copy of their ads to at least do a halfway house kind of interest. Once you get those, it's a notification of new interest. There is a panel separate from messages that you'll be able to go and view those. Your notifications will take you directly to those screens as well, so you can do it from those. But if you were busy and you were just browsing around the site and you wanted to go back, don't forget it's account, and then it's who's interested. But that's what those are, because sometimes people aren't too sure what the interests are. And it's when they can send you a copy of their ad, And then sometimes they've been on the site for a little while already and their ads actually open the other side. But if you're upgraded, they're probably just going to message you because the demand is very high versus supply at the moment. So messages and organization tools. So we have different folders. These are on all of the platforms at the moment, bar iOS, that's coming, that's being updated. You have your main inbox, sent folder of your outgoing messages, anything that you've not read yet, anything you haven't replied to, and any of your messages that you've decided to delete. We've got some filters available for you, so you can filter by label, which I'll come on to in a second. You can filter by ad, because you may have 1 or 2 adverts on, so you can just look at the contacts for those. If you've got labels applied to certain messages for a particular ad, you'll be able to filter by the label and by that advert. So that advert one only shows if you have got 2 or more adverts running. Obviously, you don't need to filter by advert if you've only got the 1 ad running, but if you've had a couple on, you'll still be able to filter between the 2 if there's contacts for a couple of adverts in there. It may be that you've shortlisted, you're still talking to people, but you've pulled your second ad off, that'll still be there. And then keyword or name. So there might be something that you remember about a message that you just want to type in and apply that filter. Sorting allows you to go by name, which is A to Z. So if you know it's a name you're looking for and you can't quite remember it, to keyword it, you can actually sort by name, so you can see it A to Z. And you can also select messages, so you can select all or make a selection of those, and there's some grayed out buttons down there, but I'll come to those in just the next slide, that allow you to do some bulk options or some more further organization for them, whether you want to apply a label or send a bulk reply out or bulk delete or just remove a couple of things. So that's some of the organization tools that you've got available to you to keep it manageable. So your bulk options here. So you can actually send auto responses out to let people know that a room or property is gone, or a polite decline. The unavailable there, it's there for seekers. That's just the type of account I've got here in this example. That won't appear if you're just a straight up offerer. If you're an offerer and a seeker, or a seeker, they'll get that unavailable one. It's a quick way just to get a response out. You can do that in bulk, so you can select all or make a selection, and then you can just fire away at rooms gone or not suitable if you've ruled them out already. We do recommend try and keep on top of your inbox as things come in. So if you're going in there on a daily basis and you check in the morning and you go through a few inquiries and you just tell straight away they're not right, seekers would rather get a response than nothing. So sometimes it seems like it might feel a bit abrupt using an auto response. They've fed back to us in many, many numbers. We just prefer to get something, even if it is an automated response. We can rule it out, move on, but at least we've had a reply. As soon as you've auto responded anybody like that, select those and delete them, clean your inbox out. So those bulk options are there for you to get bulk responses out and bulk delete. Labels as well, if you want to add a label, you can do that in bulk from the inbox as well, but they're really, really quick, easy, handy tools for you to keep your inbox nice and clean, so you're only dealing with what you actually want to be dealing with. Everyone else is done, finished, and they've all had a reply, and then they're cleared off to deleted folder. So your labels and your notes, which I mentioned, we've got some preset labels here that you can actually apply to messages, whether it's one or a selection, whether you want to do it from the inbox or from inside a conversation with somebody. So you can choose from those, or you can set your own up. You can create a new one. So when you go to add a label, if you think, no, none of those are what I want, I'll make my own, give it a little title and save it. It'll then apply that label for you. On the main inbox, you can go and manage your labels. There's a manage labels button there. So if you don't want it anymore, you can also delete those. If you choose to delete one as a label, it will delete it globally. So it will come off any message that's had that label applied to it. But it's just so that you can see we've got some options there. So it might be someone's a strong suitable, or someone's a definite no. And then if you just want to highlight a few that you've decided that are a no, but you haven't quite got time to do all your bulk stuff, you need to come back to it in an hour, you can then go back and filter for the rejected ones and then do your admin that way. Your notes there is like a little internal note to self. So it could be anything about the housemate or potential tenant, like, oh, they're a creative, might be a good fit for this particular room. If you've got a few in the house from things they've said in their ad or their message, that's only seen by yourself. And then in the inbox, that'll carry a little notes icon. So you can just hover over that and have a look at it. Just type whatever you want in there for your self-reference. And then when you hover over that, as I say, it'll also save as you type, and it'll just show you what you've written there. And you can delete the text, just take the text out and that'll remove that note for you. But it just helps referencing for yourself, organisation for yourself, and doing things in bulk and keeping your inbox tidy. That's what can really, really help you not feel overwhelmed, especially if you get an awful lot of contacts on the first couple of days that your ad goes live with the current high demand sort of market that we're in at the moment. So upgrades, I mentioned at the start there about your free account and your upgraded account. So they can have an effect on the search results, and they give you access to a couple of things I wanted to mention, which are boosts and featured ads. And I'll just explain sort of what happens when you do upgrade as well. So account, again, is where you'll find the upgrade option. There are lots of upgrade buttons here and there around the site as you move around. But if you ever want to put your ad on free and you're wondering where to go, account, that's where you go to again. So top left there, I've got an example of what we call a personal upgrade. So that'll give you one advert space, and we have durations of a week, a couple of weeks, 4 weeks, 6 months and a year. And that will upgrade the space that you have for that duration. We don't tie upgrades to specific ads. So it might be that you've got one particular room let in a property, but you've actually got another one right away that you can put on. Take that ad down, swap that into that advert space, and that becomes the upgraded one. So that's an example of the personal ones there. You can buy extra listings on those, so that's extra advert spaces. So you may have a couple of rooms in different properties or 2 different properties. You can purchase those there, and that will give you the listings for the length that's running on your current upgrades. So if you buy it right at the start with a 4 week, they're going to last you 4 weeks. We do to knock the price down a little bit the nearer you're getting to the end of your upgrade. But what I would say with things like this is, if you know what you're doing, great. If you're not sure, do drop us a quick line at customer services, email or phone. They're happy to have a look for you, because it may be with one of the multi-listing bundles is actually more cost effective with the type of advertising that you do. We offer those either annually, the multi-listing ones, you can buy bundles of ads, or you can do it monthly if you prefer a more bite size in terms of cash flow of outgoings. You can stop and start your monthlies as well at any point. There's no contract. So if you know it's a quieter time of year, so maybe Christmas time, it gets a bit quieter. What some of our users do is they stop those for a bit, they come back in Jan and get those going again once the holiday period's over. And you can move up or down as well. So if you start off small and you just have 2 or 3 things, but you're acquiring more properties and you know you're going to need to go up to perhaps 5 things all the time, you can move up. And we've got an account manager that will help you with that as well. So do always contact customer services if you're having a look at these and you're not sure what's going to suit you best. They'll go through what your sort of advertising style is, what kind of amount of portfolio size you have, and then they'll be able to sort of advise you on the best course of action. It might be that you do one of the personal ones as a taster, see how you get along. If you're halfway through that, you can always obviously give us a ring, and you want to move up to something. Again, we're very flexible on things like that. They'll go through it with you and they'll be more than happy to. That's just to tell you about the 2 types, whether it's personal or buying extra listings to go with those, or whether you want a multi-listing bundle. So as I was mentioning, when you upgrade, your account is upgraded as a whole. Upgrades aren't stuck to ads, so you can swap and change anything you want into the upgraded spaces. Your account will give you that status, so it tells you there that you are upgraded, you've got 1 listing space available to you, so it's up to you what you put in. You can buy your extra listings if you do need more from there. If you've already got 2 or 3 running on there, it might be more cost effective, as I say, to have a chat with customer services and maybe look at one of the multi-listing ones, the pro ones. And then on the upgrade page itself, we do have like those benefits explained there. Again, welcome to contact us if you want to, but it just gives you an idea of what you can do as a free user, what you can do as an upgraded one, but it will always apply it all over your account. And then it's the spaces and things you choose to put into those upgraded slots that then become the bold adverts for you. So you can move things in and out of those as you see fit. And as I say, you can often get a couple of things let off the back of one upgrade sometimes. So how do we order these listings? So upgrades do have effect on the order. So we do go by exact location matches first. And then we have new today ads, which are those that are under 24 hours in age. We have boosted ads, which is a feature I'll cover in a second. They can also go in there. And then we have the bold ones, and then the newly renewed ads, which are ads that, say, if a user's getting towards the end of their 28 days, they need to renew the ad again, or perhaps you're using that renew tool as an upgraded user and it will move that up the search results a little bit for you. And it can still be on pages 1 to 2 of a seeker's results by doing that. So it's quite a useful little tool that renew. New today is for, as I say, ads under 24 hours in age. All the bold ones of those come first. All the free ones will come after that. And then in the next bit, with those renewed ads or ads that are actually 2 to 6 days in age, again, all your bold ones will come first. All the free ads will come after that. So your bold always takes priority in there. So next up, we've got some extra tools as an upgraded user that some of you might have been using already. So we've got featured ads and boosts. Those boosted ads that I was just talking about are a product that you can buy on an individual basis, or if you have one of those multi-listing packages, we do actually throw in some boosts as part of that bundle for you. So you get some of those and you can use those each month. You get a fresh set of those. So if you go on, say, the 5, you get 2 boosts, I think, on that one, and that will refresh again once that 28-day month period from the day you bought it refreshes, and you'll get a fresh 2 to use. Or if you want, you can just buy them ad hoc if that suits you more. You might have a slightly smaller portfolio, or you prefer to do it that way, or you just want to add one extra on to the package that you've already got if you wanted to. So you can do that. There is like a time frame system on those, so we let you do it once every 7 days. It just stops people gaming the system and constantly putting their ads back into that new today section, because that really is for ads that are less than 24 hours in age. So it gives everybody a fair chance to have that premium space, but you can boost them and put them back in. They'll last you 24 hours as well. We give you a whole year to use your boost. So date you buy your boost, you've got 12 months to use that boost from that point. So that'll just sit there for whenever you want to utilize it. And they do get that boosted label as well, so it's very clear to anybody looking at those and that it's one of those ones. But it's a nice little extra if you're perhaps not on the pro upgrades and that's not suitable for you. You still get access to the things that they have, just on a sort of an ad hoc basis, and it's more manageable. Your featured ads, I'll come on to, and I'm just going to do a little spot on this because we do get quite a few inquiries about the best way to use these. These are the yellow ads held at the very top of the search results for an area. So if you've got an advertiser that's featuring, they will have a yellow advert at the top. If there's just one, then their ad will be across the top of every single page of results for that area. If there's a few, you'll go through the pages and you'll notice actually there's different yellow ads at the top there. So it's one per page, and advertisers who are featuring can bid to appear higher than everyone else for a particular area. So some people always want to be on page 1. Others still get great inquiry returns, as it says here, bidding slightly less to get to the top. And they can be on pages 2 and 3, but your first 3 pages really are your most ideal. You might find that there's quite a few people featuring. You might notice that as well first thing in the morning, because everybody's campaigns will be running at that point if they've just got them running automatically. Different times of the day, though, you might notice slightly less featuring. I'll cover that in a second. You can bid on your general area, a postcode, or specific location you're in. Your general areas may cover more than one postcode area, so you're going to have a lot of people in the mix there. So if you are wanting to appear nice and high up on pages 1, 2, or 3, you probably end up costing you a bit more because you're going to have to bid more because there's so many others in the mix there. Your specific locations or by postcode. So SK9 or E1, for example, they're smaller catchments, so you're going to have much fewer, should I say, featured advertisers in the mix. So your bids are going to probably stay a little bit lower. You choose, of course, and if you're not sure, contact us and we'll have a look for you. But you're best off going for postcode or specific area, unless it's a much smaller area or town, and you've had a browse and you can't see that many featuring, you might be okay doing it that way. But it's just to make you aware of that. So to get into featured ads, to get started, so this is separate to your upgrades. You do need to be an upgraded user to have access to this, and you do need to top up first to get it going. There'll be a little panel that appears once you go into your account, and that's on the My Ads page for you, or your overall account area, but account is where you want to go first. So you'll have a little yellow panel there mentioning featured ads and a Get Started button. Click on Get Started. This is the page that will appear first. So £10 the minimum, and we recommend for anyone new to it, start here. It defaults to 20 in the system, but you can just clear that out and put 10 in. It just keeps everything manageable. So we'd say start at 10. Your daily budget is what you want to set the maximum you want to spend each day out of that £10 or whichever amount you choose. We usually say, here I've used £2, it keeps it manageable by getting to grips with it. You can change these at any point once you're in there, but it just means everything's under control if you're brand new to it and you're not quite familiar with a system like this. So once you've actually entered your payment details and that's been processed, it will flip over to this screen here. So this is like your little featured ads account area. You can access this anytime from account and My Ads, and that panel will be there to go and have a look at your account settings. So we've got some little tabs that run across the top there, and you'll notice a thing called bid per click, and there's your £2 daily budget. And you can see your overall pot of £10 up there. So your bid and also cost per click is mentioned. They're exactly the same thing. What that is, it's the amount that is going to come out of that £2 daily budget every time a user clicks on your yellow featured ad. So 3p is the minimum. Again, start there just to get your head around it if it's new to you. You can increase this at any point if you wish to. And if you're bidding against other featured advertisers, and you want to get your ad in, yellow ad in a higher position in the results. But we recommend just start here and then sort of get a feeling for it. But that's the amount that will come out of that maximum £2. You're not going to go over that £2 in the day. Once that's been used up, featured ad stops for the day. It will then automatically start tomorrow, and a fresh £2 will be available from that pot that you put in, that £10. So it will be £8 tomorrow. And then it'll be all the 3p each time somebody clicks on your featured ad. If you don't reach the £2 in any day, then it doesn't reach it, but the money just still sits there. So, you know, if your £2 did get used every day out of 10, obviously that's 5 days. But if it doesn't get used up, it's going to last you a bit longer. So don't worry about your money going anywhere. It doesn't disappear or vanish, or because you've set it at £2 or whatever amount that excess is lost. If it's not used, it's not. It just sits there for you. So individual ad bids, so that's that bid per click or cost per click. It's your next tab along. So here we've just got one room going, but we might have 3 rooms that we're advertising at the moment, or three adverts that we're running. You can choose to feature them on an individual basis. So you may have 2 that are going really well, plenty of inquiries for those, don't really want to use any money up featuring those, but one just needs a little bit of help. Maybe it's a sort of slightly lower demand area, or for whatever reason, it's just not been moving very quickly, and you want to give it that little extra promo. So you can say yes to that and no to the other ones. And then you can choose whether to keep it as a default global pence per click, or you can customize it. Here's where you can up your bid if you want to and change that. So if you've had a look at, when we get to ranking, what you might need to up it to appear higher, this is where you can do that. Just make sure you click update, give the site around 15 minutes to update. That's a rough approximation of the site update time. Most things are pretty instant, but give it up to 15 minutes and you'll see that change reflected. So remember, your bid's the amount you want to spend each time someone clicks on your yellow featured advert. And that's going to come out of that daily budget. You choose the maximum spend on that. And that daily budget comes each time out of that overall pot and the overall funds that you originally topped up by. And that will keep going until eventually it's completely run out. What I will do is just quickly flip back to that initial page. You'll notice you've got campaign activated above that orange save button and campaign deactivated. They're like your on and off buttons for the whole thing. So what you can do with featured ads, because if you've got it running as activated, if all your budget goes today, it will stop being a yellow ad. It will kick in again automatically tomorrow morning. You might want to turn it off and try featuring at different times of the day. And you might also notice as well that a lot of others aren't featuring at that time because their daily budgets have been spent for the day. So all of their yellow featured ads are finished by 12 or 1 o'clock because lots of users have been clicking and interested and they're out of the mix. So good times to try, perhaps around lunch times. A great time to try in a very active period is sort of after 5 p.m. as well. So you get a lot of people who are browsing and looking after work. Really, it kicks in from sort of 7 till 10 p.m. as well. Our phone lines always used to go crazy and still do from around 7 and all the way up to 10 o'clock. So you might want to save all your featured ad stuff for in the evenings. You can actually manage all of this as well from the mobile platform and from the apps as well. So you can do it from your armchair. I mean, you can try it and test things out, but that's just an important one there of on and off for the whole thing. So just make sure, obviously, if you have turned it off, of an evening, don't forget if you did want to do it in the morning, you'd need to switch it back on again to have that running. But that's just so you know how to sort of stop and start the whole thing if you want to. Payments tab is your next one. So it's going to show you all the incoming and outgoing payments that you've made. So that's any top ups, so like your £10 there, top up. It will show you whether you did it by card or by PayPal. There's also other entries you might notice. So there could be an entry that maybe you had a query over something and customer services have needed to apply an amount for you. You'll see that there. And also if there's been any promos going or any freebies or anything like that, that will also show up as that. So you can see the different types there, and also your payment for any clicks on any given day. So that bottom one there, it's just an example. Let's say there was 1 click. It will be more than 1 click. But that shows you 3 pence came off there for the day, and that was what you spent on that day, and that usually updates overnight. But that's so you've just got a record there. Your payments is where you'd always go to make future top-ups as well, but it just helps you for your own records, what you've been doing and what's come in and gone out. So your ranking, which is going to be a really important tab, is see where you sit with other advertisers, and whether it's at area level, general area level, as we mentioned, postcode level, which will be the first half of your postcode, or your a specific location. And it will allow you to run these. So we might want to have a look at Stockport, the SK postcode as a whole here, or we might say, no, I'm only interested in Alderley Edge, just my own specific location. Click run, and that's going to show you where you rank against anyone else who's featuring their adverts at that particular time for that unique location. Or if you choose postcode, same thing. It will show you all the people who are featuring at the moment, for example, for SK9. So you can choose which ones you can see where you sit for that. As I say, postcode and specific area level are the best ones to start with because they're going to be lower bids rather than bidding on big areas where there's going to be a big long list probably of other featured advertisers, particularly for your London areas or like Manchester, for example. So that's where you can run those. And then once you've done it, it'll give you a list of featured advertisers. Your ads are always going to have the star against them, whether you've got one or more of those. Those numbers that run down the side there, that rank number, obviously tells you where you are in the list for the ranking, but it also indicates the page number that you're on in the search results. So our advertiser here is currently top for E1, they're the top bidder. Now there's some other things like click-through ratio and things like that. They're a little bit more intricate. I'd rather just give you the overview of featured ads of what things are and where they are. Always contact us directly to have a look at your accounts and we can tailor that and go through that with you. We do have an FAQ on the site as well. You'll see our current bidder there, they've got 7p a click and it doesn't tell them a bid needed for number 1 because they are number 1. If you were 2 or 3 or even 4 or 5 there, it would let you know. You don't get to see theirs, but it will give you an idea by the bid that you need to be for number 1. Now, it may be that you see that number 1's bidding 15p and you think, don't really want to spend that much. You could actually up it to something from 7 to say 10p and run your ranking again, give it a chance to update, that might have actually moved you into position number 2 or even 3. As I say, pages 1, 2 or 3, they're still really good positions to go in. So you don't have to be spending that maximum bid all the time. So it just keeps costs manageable. You're still getting great exposure there, and you're not sort of letting things run away. If you're absolutely sort of like really experienced at this, or you're dead set on being number 1, that bid needed there is what you'd need to bid to be in that number 1 position and move that other person down to position number 2. But it's just to give you an idea there of number 1, what this page looks like, and number 2, what it's worth bidding on, or ways you can do it. So it's all these things are optional. You don't have to bid to be number 1. Pages 2 and 3 are still good. So a bit of trial and error perhaps with the bid there. But I would say if someone's bidding something like 15p, try something like 9p, 10p. Probably move you up to pages 3 or page 2 even. That's good enough. And then finally, it's just to let you know, as I mentioned, the apps there, mobile, iOS and Android. You can manage pretty much everything from these. We've had featured ads in these for a while. We've just put who's interested in. We're adding things to the apps all the time to try and have as much parity with the desktop site as we possibly can. So anything that you're feeding back to us when you're leaving your feedback comments when you take your ads down or in reviews, we do take note of them, and we're trying to get as many things as possible in there. It means that you can manage things on the go. If you've got viewings on the go, you can go in there and manage your messages. If you just want to grab someone's phone number out of a message because you're on the way and you're running a bit late, or perhaps you want to sort your featured ads out of an evening and activate your campaign. You don't have to be glued to a laptop or the desktop site anywhere. You can actually do it all from there. And I've just popped our email on the bottom there. Customer services will always give you a hand with your account. They'll go through any of these things that I've talked about. They will tailor it. They will get your account up and have a look at it with you, see what's right for you from an upgrade perspective. If you're running things like featured ads and you would like some advice on it, or if you've got other things on the account and you'd like us to do a quick review of it for you, you can always get in touch with them there. You can either phone them. We're open 7 days a week. And I think we finish at 8:30 on a Monday to Friday, and then slightly earlier on the weekend. But we are there 7 days a week. Christmas Day and Boxing Day are the only days that we're actually closed. And of course, you can email any time and somebody will pick that up. We aim to get back to everybody within a 24-hour period. So we will do that as quickly as possible. But we will see your details come in and come back to you. Just look out for any replies if you do email in. They sometimes have a tendency, because it comes from like a ticketing system, to send it to the junk folder or spam. Or if you're on something like Gmail, maybe where you've got promotions folders and other types of folders, those providers sometimes decide that it needs to go somewhere else. So I often see a few queries about emails going unanswered. It's just that I think it's moved them to spam or one of those other folders rather than your main inbox where all your alerts might be coming into. So it's just a tip with that. And that's everything from me. It just remains for me to say thank you. Thank you very much for listening. And if anybody does have any things in the chat, I think there's a couple of things in there that you might have mentioned. Let me just have a quick look at there.
Freya, so first of all, thank you so much, Freya. And what we'll do, we'll get Andy to actually liaise with you with questions. But I just want to thank you so much. That's been so insightful, so detailed. It's been very valuable. Even the people who are already using Spareroom, as showed many people are, that's been really valuable. So thank you so much. Andy, handing over to you. Do you want to facilitate a few questions, please?
Yeah, of course I will. Thank you so much, Freya, for that presentation. Very comprehensive in there. If anybody has got a question whilst Freya is here, type it into the chat box and let us know. One question that has come up in here is Hannah. And this question to you, Freya, is thank you so much. Would it be possible to tell us more about how to use Spareroom to do HMO demand analysis for any particular area?
Yes, you can actually have a look at the room wanted side of things. So that other side of the database that we have, you can actually run it for your postcode or general area. So you just go to search, click room wanted, and that will give you an idea of the demand right there and then. You can actually contact our account manager, and we might be able to run some behind the scenes stats for you on a more personal basis, because some of our room wanted seekers don't always post a room wanted advert. Most are aware that they've become a lot more aware of posting now. So it gives you a feel and a sense of how many people are actually looking in that area right at that moment in time. They're active, they're there. So you can get a sense of how many people are actually interested in your particular area, whether it's an individual area or postcode or a wider area that you want to look at. It's hard for us to say on an ongoing basis because there's sort of peaks and troughs in the year, as I'm sure you know. Like January is a very busy time. Summertime, say from June all the way through to October, is very busy, and there are much quieter periods where you're going to see less active seekers because not as many people are moving around in those in-between spots. But that will give you a good indication of that, and anything else a little bit deeper, do contact us. We have a lady called Nicola who's our account manager, and she'll probably be happy to give you a hand with that. But that just gives you like a finger in the air just to see what demand's like for your area.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, that's really useful. I just want to say one thing there. If I can check my understanding. Andy, can you access me so I can turn my video on, please? I can't seem to turn it on. That would be great.
Okay.
So one thing's Freya, I know if you're advertising in a certain room, thank you, Andy. If you're advertising in a certain room, in a certain area,
Yeah.
obviously it will show how many other rooms are advertising in that specific postcode, which might be a certain number. But then when you look on, this is just people who are doing research, checking supply and demand. When you look on the rooms wanted and you put in a specific postcode, it won't just select that, but it will select a much bigger area, won't it? So you've got to be a bit careful there, is that right?
You do, yeah. So that is something that we're looking into to try and split out some more of these areas, because when we first began, we kept them broader because we were just starting out, but we recognise, and we've done that for a few cities as well, that we need to separate the areas out a little bit more. So just have a sort of a general look over a few of the wanted ads. Just open you up, have a look. So yes, it will do that. There's sort of 2 or 3 that get included with a couple of postcodes for a more general area. But it does mean that seeker's actually said, I am interested in this general area.
And there's also another amazing thing I just want to make sure people are aware of. So if you go to the page where tenants are advertising, say, hey, I'd like to have a room. So the room sort page. And then on the right-hand side of that page, there's a little link you can click up at the top that says check out the average rents. And it goes through to a page and it summarises the areas based on postcode, whether it's single or double room, bills included, and then the average rent, the minimum rent, and the maximum rent. And it's really powerful to see the actual rents. And I believe that's taken from the last 3 months of actual rents. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah. And that's really, really handy tool to go and take a quick glance at, because then you can see whether it's a double en suite, bills included, yes, no. So it gives you an idea of what you could be charging, basically. So it's very current data.
Yeah, so really powerful. And I'd recommend everyone, when we do our calculations, do the average rent in your calculations. But obviously, if you're doing the higher end co-living we've been talking about over this event, you might be achieving closer to the higher rent or even pushing through a new barrier, as many of our clients have. So Andy, I'll come back to you. I'm sure there'll be some great questions coming through.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. So another question here from Hazel, and she's had her account deleted. So it's quite important to find out as to why that could happen. She was saying that she was trying to message some landlords about management and selling, and the account was deleted. Why is that not allowed?
We don't allow any kind of selling of other services on the website, full stop, whatever type of advertiser you are. So you aren't allowed to do any marketing activities. It's in our terms and conditions as well when users sign up, and we do obviously tell our seekers we don't permit any sort of third-party marketing or anything like that. So it's across the board. So obviously you're going to have your own unique things, but agents aren't allowed to do it. Landlords can't be selling their services, because people are using Spareroom under the premise of that they're not going to be contacted by any third-party marketing, only Spareroom's own. Sometimes you get the odd occasion where they might get in contact with other landlords themselves. That's fine if they want to do that. If they've noticed somebody advertising in their area that think might be able to help them with anything like that, and they might be open to it, that's fine the other way around. It's just that we don't allow any third-party marketing to any of our advertisers.
And the final question comes from Bino. He put it in the chat box saying, when you have a featured advert, how do you know which page you're ranking?
Do you mean by area? Is it which, what sort of area you're doing your ranking by? Because you can do it by general, or the first half of your postcode, or your unique area, like the 3 options that were in there. You choose which one of those you want to run on, and then it will show you where you're featuring for that particular one. So for example, if it was E1, you can run it for E1. That will then tell you where you are in the list of featured advertisers for E1. So your ad will have a little star against it where you are in the list, and the number next to it indicates the page number of results that you're on. So if it said 3 and then the star in your advert, that means you're on page 3 currently for everything in the E1 area as a featured advertiser. So your yellow ad is at the very top of page 3 of the results. If there were only 3 of you featuring, they would be alternated. So it would go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 all the way through. If it's just a couple of you, the 2 of you will be alternated. But that number 2 means there's someone in front of you in number 1, or whoever's in front of you, they're on those pages in front of you. And it's 1 featured ad per page. If that helps. I hope that was the right answer to the right question there.
Yeah, it was about the error. He came and told me that after, so thank you so much on that one, Freya. Hazel's putting a hand up for a slapped wrist and saying, look, my account's been deleted. Can I set up another account?
I'd get in touch with site moderation, because it'll link if you try and re-register again. But I don't know if they've sent you an email about it already, but do contact us either at customer services at that email, or site.moderation@spareroom.co.uk, or just phone up and let them know what's happened and say, okay, I understand that situation. I see this going on all the time where people say, okay, I didn't realise. It's no problem. As long as you give them a quick call, make contact, explain, they can usually get your account open there and then, or within sort of 10, 20 minutes or so if no one's available at that point. So don't worry, just give them a call.
Well, Freya, that's been so helpful to us. Thank you very much indeed for your time, explaining all the ins and outs of spareroom.co.uk. Of course, the go-to place for a lot of us as landlords, but indeed we want to get the right tenants as well. We're very grateful. I particularly love the fact that you're open 7 days a week, sort of quite late into the evening, Monday to Friday at 8:30. It's very, very useful. And remember, that email address was put up as well, customer service @spareroom.co.uk, if you want to contact Freya's team. They'd be delighted to help you. Let's all thank in our usual way Freya Davison. Thank you, Freya.
I do hope you got massive value from watching this YouTube video. I'd encourage you to click on the link below to come and do the online training with me. And I've got another video lined up for you, which I think is also going to be really useful, that you should watch once you've registered for the online training with me. So invest with knowledge, invest with skill. I'll see you very soon.